Well, I guess on the punk tip, politics and being socially active are sort of parts of that. Maybe not so much again these days, but your music tends to be very socially aware. Mm-hmm. Why is that important to you?
I think that it's just important to me because it's important. It's just important, like the relationship of people to other people is important. For me, like in my music, I try not to tackle anything too grand, It's usually down to like a pretty personal scale. I bring it down to like how I'm relating to the world or whatever. Usually I don't really take on big social issues or something like that. It usually comes down to sort of a personal level. But yeah, I mean, so really on that level, it's just like what's important to me, and what's important to me is, how I relate to the world. And sometimes that can swell into something bigger, but usually when I'm taking on anything, even if it's like remotely political or something, it really comes down to like my personal engagement with it, rather than something like philosophical or, on that level. But it is cool to see that connection between like punk rock and hip hop. It's like, comes from like a pretty like basic sort of blue collar kind of like background and like ethic and view of the world and approach to like, social issues.
Cool.
Yeah.
I also, I wanted to ask you about it's the interlude on the album. It's after Telephone, but there's a telephone ring on the album.
Yeah.
It sounds insanely like my buzz code to get into my apartment.
Oh, nice.
So the first time I listened to the album, like this phone kept going off. I was like, who the hell is here? Why? And no one would buzz up. Like, did you put that in there purposely to trip people out? Because like, it works.
Nice. No, like I spent way too much time searching for phone ring sounds for one thing. Yeah, I guess we found a good one. Yeah.
Okay, so what are you listening to now?
Right now?
Yeah.
What am I listening to right now?
New stuff, like new band.
New
band, new artist.
Okay, out of like artists that are relatively new, there's a rapper named Jay Electronica that I like. Who else is relatively new that I like? The new Caribou album is really good. Yeah, that's some of sort of the newer stuff. I listen to a lot of older stuff all the time, but that's some of the newer stuff.
And 5 albums that everybody out there needs to own. Essential records.
Wow.
It's a hard question.
That's a good question. 5 essential records. Well, everyone already has Thriller, but just in case you don't, you should probably get it. Pet Sounds. I would want to say some Motown, but like I can't think of like a Supremes album or something like that, like a Four Tops album, because I think they mostly just came out with like singles at that time. But I would say probably like a Supremes Greatest Hits album would be pretty important. I'm staying in pop music pretty generally right now, so maybe I'll just continue with that.
I'm surprised actually with some of the choices right now.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just stay with that theme for this list. I can't go too comprehensive. Okay, I'll stretch it a little bit. We'll go Outcast to Aquemini. I'll add it. Nice. I'll add that. And I'm at 4.
You're at 4.
What would I add for the 5th? It's too hard to pick a 5th. The 5th is the hard one because that's when I shut the door on everyone else.
It's got to be something.
5th?
Yeah.
You know what? There's an album, we're talking about punk rock. There's an album by a band called Say Anything.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah.
Is a Real Boy.
Yeah. That's what's that song called? I Can Get Sexual Too. Mm-hmm. Good song.
Mm-hmm. I'd maybe close the door at that one.
It's an interesting recommendation, actually. This is what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
You are taking your master's.
Yeah.
And so you're living in Vancouver now.
Yeah, most of the year, yeah.
And you're at Simon Fraser.
Yeah.
So what are you taking your master's in?
It's a graduate liberal studies program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot of sort of like classics of sort of philosophy and literature, and you can take a range of stuff. I took a class in communication studies this past term, so you can really just take a range of different things, which is cool.
And you have a business degree already, right?
In my undergrad, yeah.
So, like, considering the amount of success that you've had, I wondered why you went back to school, A, and B, how you find the time to put out music.
Well, if I'm too busy with music, music is the priority. So if I'm too busy with music, then school, I'll take a term off. But I just find I have enough time.
That kid's music first, then
music
school.
Music first, then school. That's important.
Yeah.
You guys all know. You kids all know that.
Yeah.
So when I have time, though, I go to school, take a term. I just enjoy it. I just happen to like it. And I figure if I have the time and the energy to do it now, I might not later. So why not do it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd imagine, though, like, considering, like, your lyrical style, that it would probably help, to be reading that much and writing that much. I mean, is it the same when you're writing a song and, when you're writing an essay?
It's actually completely different.
Okay, because you like thesis, conclusion.
Yeah. No, you would think it'd be very connected, but it's actually very different because, like, just the way you think about everything is different. Like, I'm thinking, like, in an essay, you're thinking about, like, ideas resolving in a big, long thing.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, when you're rapping, you're thinking about the next rhyming sound coming like that,
Yeah.
So it's like, it's actually, like, just so completely different. The audience, of course, is very different that you're writing for, too. So, like, it actually makes it a lot more challenging in a way because, like, I worked on music for so long and I get used to this voice, right? I'm like, oh, okay, I have kind of this idea of what my voice is and who my audience is. And then it gets very comfortable writing in that form. And then all of a sudden you're, like, addressing a different audience in a different form. And it's difficult to try and kind of find who you are in that form. So it can make it actually harder. But it's always good to just learn.
Yeah.
And stretch yourself, because I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what form I'm going to write it in later anyway, so.
Well, I read a quote from yours, actually, and it was, you had said that, your people should be able to do multiple things they like.
Yeah.
And they should do that. That's important.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, daunting at times for some people. Have you ever handed in a paper that completely rhymes?
No, I never have. It would maybe even be easier for me or something like that, just because I'm used to that now. It's just like, that's how I know it's right, is when it, like, rhymes. At the end, it's like getting a sum right or something in math. It's like that's how I know it's correct. So I don't know. I don't think I'll try it sometime. It might work out all right.
And then my last question, we spoke about this before we hit record, though, is I can't. For the life of me, I don't think there's a swear word on this album.
Yeah.
And I mean, is that something that you consciously decided to do? Because I know there's been times where a band or an artist will go out and they'll say, like, I'm not going to put a swear word on this album because I'm getting flack. Or, You know what I mean? So it's almost like an effort, or is it just something that just completely happened?
For me, it's the exact opposite. I mean, that's just how I speak. I don't cuss when I speak.
Even if you're playing basketball?
Except for when I'm playing
Okay, good.
With the exception of when I'm playing basketball, for sure. But, when I'm speaking, it's just like, that's just not how I speak. So it comes out, that's just how it turns out. If I were to, incorporate that into my lyrics, for one reason, it wouldn't make any sense. Like, why? Yeah. If I'm used to expressing myself without it and I'm able to do that, then, so it's just kind of...
It could happen, though.
Yeah, it could happen. If I recorded a song while I was playing basketball, and I missed 4 straight. Yeah. For sure.
Playing basketball downtown during the G20, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways, Shad, thanks for your time, dude.
Cool, no problem.
Thanks for coming
Thanks.
in, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.